I am really starting to wonder when I'm going to stop making such stupid decisions. I mean, I'm not even sure what to say at this point. Um, I took two trades today, and it's a little out of the ordinary because I've been taking, anywhere from like 5 to 8 trades to 9 trades. But today and all of last week has just been a train wreck. And I'm going to have to start taking a completely different approach from here on out. These two trades today, I thought were pretty decent. I'm going to go over them on the charts and kind of explain my entries and my thought process. And the first trade was earlier in the day. We were looking at, let me zoom out a little bit so I can kind of talk about my process. So I made this decision based off of the 1 hour time frame. And right here, I mean, we are clearly looking at a 1 hour uptrend. So that was kind of my, how I was viewing the market today was, we were obviously in an uptrend, keeping an eye on this trend line here, keeping an eye on this trend line. And my second thought, right, the main primary thought was in an obvious 1 hour uptrend, but it also looked like we had bounced off of this larger 4 hour downtrend on a couple of days ago. And that, to me, it kind of looked like we may be heading to this trend line and then kind of just back and forth between trend lines. But again, the primary thing was just the hourly trend line heading upwards. And then my trade decisions, my two decisions today, boy, did they hurt. So a couple of things. I made my first decision based off of a little bit of chop here in the morning. I liked how we were reacting off of my overnight low here at like 4108, and a little bit of chop in the morning. And I was keeping an eye on the 9 EMA and the 20 EMA most of the day. And, it looked like we had some bounces off of, 4100 basically at the bottom here. And I decided to get long right about here. So, and here's a couple of my thought process. I was getting long here. Again, my long thesis was based off of, number one, the hourly uptrend and trend line that we were, everything was looking good. And we had a large sell-off in pre-market, so I was a little bullish. And I got long right as we were breaking VWAP here. So this candle was breaking VWAP, and I saw what looked to be a lot of buying pressure. And a couple of things lined up for me. Prior to that, the 9 EMA was crossing the 20 EMA around this area here. And I was waiting for a couple of things. That 9 EMA to cross the 20 EMA. I was also watching the overnight low getting taken, and that had gotten taken. And then we were approaching VWAP, and at the time of my entry, we were breaking through, and we closed above VWAP here. Now, I think on the 5-minute chart, the VWAP was a little bit different, and maybe in hindsight, that might have been why. But my entry was here, was around 4112, and my stop loss I had set at 4106. Now, a couple of reasons that's an interesting stop loss. It was a 6-point stop loss, and I was targeting like 4024, 4025, I think 4024. And so I felt good about the risk to reward. And 4106, I mean, in hindsight, it would have been better if had I entered right near this cross where it actually had crossed 9 EMA and 20 EMA. And then I could have put my stop down here. I mean, in hindsight, that would have been a much better, much more clear stop loss versus putting your stop loss not really in a higher low. So that was, in hindsight, a pretty big mistake. The pullback, I was expecting a pullback. Again, I'm still thinking we're in an hourly uptrend, so I was still pretty bullish, and I was willing to deal with a little bit of drawback because I knew there was going to be some continuation today. And I got stopped out to the tick. It was at exactly 4106 during this pullback that I got stopped out. It literally hit the tick, did not go any lower, and then went off in the direction I was hoping. So that was pretty disappointing. I think my analysis was still roughly correct. I mean, I used a couple of confirmations here. I think my entry could have definitely been a lot better, could have been a lot earlier, had a better stop loss, and then I wouldn't have had that issue. But overall, I felt okay about this one. And this wasn't the real stupid one. The next extremely stupid trade was right here. And I got short at 41.13. So this was, what, in almost an hour later, or 45 minutes later, 30 minutes later. And I got short at 41.13 right here. Right around this, 41.13. I got short because right up here, this started to look real heavy with the selling pressure, right? Large selling candles, not a lot of continuation to the upside. And right about here, I'm getting short. And I set my stop loss at the top here. So I think it was like a 4 to 5 point stop, which is I felt fine about. I didn't, it was at the very top of what looked to be at the very top of the move, and it ended up being a perfect move. So I rode this all the way down. Unfortunately, I also rolled it all the way up. In my head, a couple of things that I was thinking. My entry was pretty good, and I think by the time we got down here, I was up about $500 on this specific trade. And I don't know what was going through my head, but I think I guess a combination of greed and a combination of my analysis, or not my incorrect analysis, but I don't know how I can go from being my original analysis this morning, which was being relatively bullish, understanding that we're in an uptrend, not trading against the trend. I don't know how I didn't cut this shorter. Knowing that I'm trading against the trend, my prior trade was with the trend, knowing that I was also already $315 in the red, and I'm consciously down here, consciously aware that I'm up, $480, $500 down here. I am consciously aware, and I recognize that, and I'm still thinking, even to right about here, I'm like, okay, this is just a standard pullback. This is what you expect. And I just kept waiting. And then at this point here, when things got really scary, I kept my stop loss where I set it, which, in hindsight, I guess is pretty good. I didn't move my stop loss. I trusted the process. I was trying to target around this yesterday's low of day. So I did have everything set. So I had my stop set at 41.17. I had my target at 40.96. And, I'm thinking, hey, maybe we're going to retest this overnight low. We're going to get rejected and we're going to head out at my target. So I guess I just have to accept this one, right? I set my stops. I had my take profits, and I just let the trade run. And maybe with my evaluation account, this is not the kind of trades that I need to be doing. So I'm thinking, do I need to just be scalping? Do I need to be holding for these longer plays? Was this maybe just a counter trend trade, and that's the reason I got in trouble? Because if we see what happened after that, right? It got short here, and then after that, it just ran up. So again, looking at this, my original bullish plan for the day, the general direction was right. And had I been more focused on that, maybe be a little bit more cognizant of my pre-market plan, not trading against the trend, maybe things could have gone a little differently. And I consciously passed up on $500 worth of profit down here. Even roughly at any point around here, could have been $400 or $500 in profit, could have erased my first trade of the day and ended in profit. And it's disappointing, but I'm trying not to get too upset with myself because this is a part of the process. It does sting, but 2 trades, I've lost, I'm hoping to not lose more than $300 in a day for this evaluation account. So just pure stupidity on my part. But that's why I'm making these videos, so I can look back on this and understand the mistakes I'm making, where I can do better, and to be transparent. To be transparent what it looks like to be a beginner trader. Trading for 5 to 6 months. So that's all I've got. Peace.